In this video, I'm going to explain the project in depth. It's called PulseRoute, and the simplest way to describe it is a heat safety co-pilot for cyclists. I'll show you what it does, why we built it, and how it actually works under the hood. PulseRoute is a fast API backend plus a React PWA. It fuses three independent signal sources, environmental, infrastructural, and physiological, into a single governed safety decision. Built in Kiro Sprint by a team of three, in which we won the fan favorite award. So here's the problem. Last year, 645 people died of heat in Maricopa County, where I live and drive. On a bike, you're outside 30 to 90 minutes on pavement that gets brutally hot, and your body makes its own heat on top of the air. But every navigation map only cares about distance. None of them know how hot the road actually is or what your body is doing. So that's why we built PulseRoute to close that gap by combining the weather around you, the heat coming off the road, and your own vital signs. So the gap in the existing routing is the distance and elevation, and these are the only cost functions. None model thermal load or physiology. So that's why we added that in the PulseRoute as a third dimension, which is the mean radiant temperature and a physiological risk loop on top of the standard routing. So I'll quickly go through the architecture diagram of the app. So this is the architecture diagram of the app. So the system is divided into two halves. The front end, the rider sees, which the rider sees, and a back end that does all the real decision making. The backend has exactly two jobs. First is plan a safe route before the ride and watch the other rider during the ride. So every answer the backend gives carries a receipt of where its data came from and how fresh the data is. And it's useful, it's useful for the safety gate, which I'll explain in the coming part. So in the front end, as you can see, it's a reactive progressive web app on the top. So it runs in any browser and it installs on a phone without any app store. And there are like 5 screens. The first one is onboarding, then ride planner, then route preview, live tracking, and ride history. And this all 5 share one state store, which is Zustand, and talk to the backend through a single API client. So there is one clean doorway in and out, as you can see on the architecture diagram. And the stack is mentioned on the top. These are all 5 screens and the API. Coming to the backend, a fast API server in Python exposing 6 endpoints, as you can see, which are route, risk, stop, weather, bio, and profile. And in that, 2 of them carry the product, which is post route and post risk. Each of those 2 endpoints is not a single function, but a pipeline, a chain of small services that each do one thing. And these services are listed below. So one more thing is like router load lazily at startup. So if one module is missing, the server locks it and keeps running instead of crashing. This lets 3 people build in parallel without stepping on each other. So I'll explain about the first pipeline, which is route. So its job is to take an origin and a destination, which is the origin for the start of the ride and the destination, and return 2 routes to compare. And it runs 3 services in a chain. as you can see, and the output is the two routes, which is the fastest route and the cooler route, which is the pulse route, which I'll show in the coming demo. And the pipeline 2 is about the risk. So its job is, while riding, decide if the rider is in danger and what to do about it. And this reads the biosignal, scores the hydration risk against the rider's personal thresholds, pick the right stops, look 10 minutes ahead of the incoming heat, and then hand everything to the final checkpoint. So it scores, then recommends, then predicts, then validates, and validation is the last step. And this is the weather API from where the data is fetched, and also it's cached. So as you can see, this is the centerpiece, which is the safety gate. So it's in a diamond figure. It is the last thing before anything reaches the rider. So it has two exits, as you can see, one red and the green. So a validated alert with its receipt goes to the UI, or nothing goes to the UI, falls back to data unavailable, which is on the left, and the alert which goes on the right. So this whole architecture funnels into this one node, like with a purpose that uh, nothing the rider sees skips the gate. So everything goes through the gate. So as this is the get API, and for that, like, we have used Open Meteor for weather, the National Weather Service for heat advisories, and Air Now for the air quality. And on the other hand, there are like two local data sets as well, the curated hot and cool zones and the seed list of water stops. And the external APIs, the weather thing, and the external APIs is below. Like this, these are all the external APIs, and these two JSON files are the local data files. And also we have implemented the provenance, which means that every response in model is required to carry a provenance object, like the source, the timestamp, and the age of its data. So this helps the safety gate, and the gate reads the receipt and not the content. So to decide whether a warning is trustworthy enough to show on the app. And this was mostly everything about the app architecture. So I can start moving to running the app itself. I'll open the command prompt. I'll start the backend. The backend looks running, and the front end. This looks running. I'll open the local host. So the app which you see is the front end, and behind it is a server doing the real work. Right now I have ran both the front and back end. So like there are like two main jobs. One plans your route and the other watches you during the ride and decides if you're in trouble. Everything the server says comes with a kind of receipt attached, as I said before. So this is the app which you can see, and this is the home page, or home home button of the app. I'll just click get started, and this is like a way to connect this app to other fitness apps like Strava, Apple Fitness, Garmin. Now I can connect any one of those, and this what it imports is the resting heart rate and HRV baseline, fitness level classification, personalized heat risk thresholds, and recent ride history as well. So if a person is an athlete, then his personal data will be imported into the app, and he will get the recommendation for the stop or rest according to his fitness levels. So like a athlete and a beginner can have the same heart rate on a hot day, but it means different things. So the app sets different warning level per person. Like a kid or a cardiac rider gets most caution settings during a ride, whereas advanced riders get less. And this is the code which is related to the sensitivity of groups and fitness levels. This is mentioned in hydration service.py, and initially have given some cutoff levels like the heart rate, which is elevated high critical, which is like 140 slash 155 slash 170, and this is for intermediate, whereas sensitive is like 120, 135, 150, and the advanced is 150 slash 165 and 180. And for the beginner it's 130 slash 145 slash 160. So that is like the heart rate, which is elevated slash high slash critical. Now for the demo, I'll just click on Strava to import the or like the biosignals, and as you can see I have like intermediate fitness, the resting heart rate is 65 beats per minute, and it's the miles which I've traveled is 892. So I'll just click on start riding, and this is the ride planner, which the front end page for which the origin and the destination is set. And this app pulls the live data like current situation, which like right now I'm in Tempe, so it's showing 103 degree Fahrenheit, and also like the other humidity and UV index conditions. Right now I'll just choose the source as my home, which is Nexa apartment, and the destination as the Polytechnic campus of ASU. So this is the route preview page, and this shows the maps like the route based on the fastest route, which is the red one, and the pulse route, which is a cooler route with stops with low risk. And you can see the mean radiant temperature to the left route is like the red route is 118, and the right pulse route is 95-degree Fahrenheit. So you can see like minus 23 Fahrenheit of MRD saved, and the shade percentage as well as the water stops. So as you can see, the red one is the fastest route, the way a normal maps send you like straight and fully exposed. Whereas the blue one is the pulse route, which is a little longer but routed through shade and past water stop. It finds the nearest cool shade dead area near the middle of your trip, a park or a tree lined path, and bends the route through it. And it doesn't use just the air temperature, like it doesn't use the air temperature, it uses radiant temperature. Like standing next to a hot park, like parking lot, feels way worse than under a tree, even at the same air temperature, because heat radiates off the pavement straight directly on you. So the app keeps a map of hot spots and cool spots, and then scores each route by how much radiant temperature you would actually absorb. So like I'll explain you about the mean radiant temperature. I'll just show you the formula for the mean radiant temperature which we have used here. I'll open the notepad and I'll just open a new tab. So this is the mean radiant temperature, which is like ambient temperature plus 8 plus zone delta plus wind offset. So the ambient temperature is the floor, the air temperature from the open meteor in full shade with no radiant load. MRT roughly equals air temperature. So this is the baseline, everything else adjusts to. And the point 0.8 shown here is the solar load. So it is a fixed constant standing in for the short wave radiation of full sun. The honest framing is that a rigorous model would compute this from sun angle, the time of the day, cloud cover, and how much sky is visible. And the real radiant can bump far than 8 as well. So this is the this changes based on the time, the solar load. It depends on the orientation of the sun, in short. And next is the zone delta. This is the lookup against the curated zones, like hot zones, like parking lots, the sky harbor, tarmac, treeless intersections, etc., which carry +4 to +9 points because concrete and asphalt absorb sun and like re-radiate long heat wave right like straight at you. So they are like radiant heat sources, and they are not just hot airs. And like compared to that, cool zones like tree canopy, the palm walk, like the town lake, which we have, and greenways, it carries -4 to -7 because shade blocks the direct sun, and like vegetation as well transpires, and the water and grass radiate less heat back at you. And the last one is the wind offset. So physically, wind does not change radiation, it strips off the heat from your skin. So uh, wind, like it's better sometimes for reducing the feeling of hotness. So yeah, so this was the formula for the MRT, which is calculated using the external sources and whatever the API calls and the local data which we have. So I'll carry with the route, carry on with the route. As you can see, there are like two routes, pulse route and the fastest route. When once I'm ready, I can just click on start ride. So this will track all my biosignals like heart rate, HRV, skin temperature, and the ambient temperature as well. And based on my biosignals, it will calculate my dehydration levels. According to that, it will suggest me when should I take a water stop, and it will like give preference to taking a stop over over other preferences which I have, like any coffee shop or other place to like take a pit stop. So once it's feeling the risk, the hydration signal will turn red. Hydration risk signal. So this the risk works under the post request of the risk endpoint, and it has like its own pipeline which I have to explain while showing the architecture diagram, which has like bioservice, biosignal reading, then hydration service which has personalized thresholds, and stop recommender, like it like it recommends some stops based on the risk. So once I reach my destination, I can just click on end ride, and it will go give me the summary of the ride, and this will be stored in my history of rides. As you can see, the history is mentioned here, like the June of 21st, and the origin is Nexa Apartments, and the destination is Polytechnic Campus. So every rider is logged with how much heat you took on, like, and then your peak risk and the water stops which I have hit. So over time, you can see your habits in the heat. Most apps show where you went. This one shows like what the ride cost you on your body in the heat. So there's like a weighted safety score as well to rate the ride, and you can see like this ride is having low risk. I just ended this ride in 2 minutes. That's why it like uh, is showing low risk. But the longer ride, the longer you get exposed, the safety score keeps dropping, and then you can see the risk levels for the previous ride. So like that's PulseRoute. Uh, I'll be straight about what's real and what's stand in it. The heat map right now is a hand-built set of hot and cool zones, not yet like fully satellite heat scan, and that's our next deliberate step. The vital signs in this demo are simulated, ready to plug in into a real watch. Right now, these are like the dummy values of the heart rate and the HRV. But the core idea is that is the thing I care about most. Like I didn't build this app to be smart, but I built it to be trusted. Anyone can ship an app that always has an answer, but the thing I care about is the one that knows when to stay silent. And according to the architect's diagram, this the safety gate, it always checks if there's some provenance and there's some timestamp in the data history, and according to that it gives the alerts. So that was about the pulse route, and thanks for watching.